Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's April 23rd, 2020. I came over to the work area, and first thing I want to say is I thank you all so much for all the wonderful, positive thoughts and prayers you've been giving me dealing with this infectious disease. I really, really appreciate it. And please excuse my sweating. I'm just having a bit of a fever right now. What I thought what I'd do is give you a bit more of an update on what I'm learning through this process as well. But in general, I'd say that I can see light at the end of the tunnel, or I feel like I'm right up at the peak of the mountain, and not that things are going to be easy going down the other side. There's a long battle still before me, but I see lots of positive things happening with my body. So one of the things that I would talk a bit about is my central nervous system, my brain. I've talked about that before, that was such a severe, limiting variable element that would constantly keep me confused, agitated, irritated. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a constant headache, a constant feeling of not being able to get comfortable, not being able to be happy with anything. Nothing really felt good at all with what was going on with my brain. And one of the things I think potentially has helped out with that is I really let my temperatures go much higher, up over 104. Right now my temperature is 102.7, just excuse me, before coming over here now to record this. So the brain issue appears to be getting better almost day by day. My vision is clearer, my thoughts are not normal, but almost completely normal. I still get agitated when I'm trying to look something up on a computer and all. But things that were just absolutely easy for me are still somewhat challenging, but it's improved at least 75, maybe 80% so far. So there's a bit of a ways to go still there's still one focal area on the outside of my skull that I can say, oh, in this location, and it can be completely referred pain. But my brain is still not completely normal at this point. The other thing that I would thought I'd mention is the gastrointestinal system. So my gastrointestinal system. So I mentioned before that my appetite, things don't taste good. Things that I love don't taste good. The smells aren't there. That, along with my mental state of just being on edge and being in pain and agitated, that has really diminished my desire to eat anything. And that's not a good thing, because you really need to maintain nutritional intake. But I discovered when I realized, geez, I'm not getting enough nutrition in myself, is that I have a condition in my digestive system that is, I'm going to call it ileus. There's no obstruction. Now, years ago, I've told this story before. I had a mass grow in my intestine, right between my small intestine, my ileum, and my colon. That ended up having to be surgically removed. It was a benign mass. And that type of benign mass may come back again at any time. But one of the things I would say during that time that was so concerning is there was no ability for my digestive system to function normally, to allow food to go through the digestive system, to have digestion and then absorption of nutrients. And so that old story, I'm not going to go back into that one at this time. So we have several different components of our nervous systems, and one of them is considered the brain and the gut. It's just like we have a brain in our heart, in a sense, it has its own pacemaker, it has its own conduction system, it has its own slowing system, and then another rapid conduction system, which makes our heart work beautifully, absolutely wonderfully. Now, we have a series of plexes in two different layers of our digestive system, in our intestines. And these plexes, or nervous groups of nerves that interact with each other and control the smooth muscles. And there's a couple of different types of smooth muscles in our intestine. There's longitudinal smooth muscles and segmental circular ones. So we have the different plexes that go to each different type. So we have a plexus system that goes to our longitudinal muscles, and we have a plexus system that goes to our segmental, the circular smooth muscles. And that works without us ever even thinking about it. Food will go through at the appropriate rate, and unless there's something really wrong, a hamburger is not going to come out of your back end. Processed, the hamburger will be completely processed, nutrients will come out of it, be absorbed, and the waste products will feed all the microorganisms in the digestive system, and what you have is a bolus of leftover materials and lots of microorganisms there. So this brain within the gut is also modulated by our autonomic nervous system. And I've talked about this before. So we have a sympathetic component of our autonomic nervous system and a parasympathetic component of our autonomic nervous system. And so when we're stressed out, our parasympathetic system quiets down, our sympathetic system gets our muscles ready, gets ready to fight or flight, whatever it may be. I'm sorry, I'm going to make this all kind of short because I'm a little winded right now. And the parasympathetic nervous system modulates our gut so we can recover, we can relax, we can absorb nutrients and get our digestive system maximizing its efficacy as well. Now, I don't know, and I have to do some research, and I just am not at that point where I can do research again yet. I don't know if there's a combination of or the autonomic nervous system, because I talked about what's going on with my brain and how that affects all different aspects of my body. So the autonomic nervous system may be saying, shut down gut, because nothing's been moving through my digestive system for an extended period of time. And we can take a stethoscope and listen to our abdomens, and there should be normal gut sounds, borborygmi. We should be able to hear in different areas of our digestive system whether there's the absence of normal gut sounds, there's normal gut sounds, or everything seems to be hyperactive inside of the digestive system. Mine were just about completely absent in my abdomen. And when I'd go to have a bowel movement, it'd mostly be gas, a tiny bit of liquid, and just specks of fecal material. I'm sorry to be so gross about this. So nothing was moving. The other thing that could be contributing to this is that there are ACE receptors in some of these areas within the digestive system as well. And those are areas where I got to find out more about the details. I know that angiotensin 1 is one contributing factor that may delay gastric emptying. I'm not positive of that. I have to do some research with that. So one of the things I've been doing is trying to maintain my higher temperatures and do as much of the lung clearing as I can do. Unfortunately, during the whole nighttime when I'm hacking and all that, I'm swallowing all that sputum that I'm bringing up from my lungs, and it's going into my digestive system. So there's lots of virus particles going down into my digestive system. Could that have an effect as well? I just don't know. But yesterday, I was able, I decided to switch some of my, I actually had a little bit of peanut butter and jelly, so I get some rapid absorption of some fat and some carbohydrates as well. And that actually helped out a little bit. And then I'm losing my train of thought. I apologize. So one of the things I would say is maintaining my temperature high enough is absolutely fine. Not trying to cool myself down, because I find that after I have these higher temperatures, my mind gets clearer, my gastrointestinal motility is starting to increase. So I'm actually now starting to have tiny bowel movements. When I wasn't able to have tiny bowel movements, every time I would be hacking, my abdominal musculature would be hacking. There'd be lots of violent activity with my digestive system as I'm trying to bring up as much of the phlegm from my lower airways as possible. And what would happen before getting my GI tract to move is anything that I would take a few hours earlier would still be in my stomach, and during this almost convulsive, it's not convulsive, but this whole process of trying to get all that material up, what would end up happening is I ran the risk of an aspiration pneumonia. In other words, bringing stuff up from my stomach, and it could have gone down the windpipe. That did not happen, but that really made it important for me to make sure that eating is, the timing of eating, the amount of that I eat is got to be very small, frequent, and we need to make sure that the gut is moving, because otherwise some of those food components may be just sitting there in an acid environment in my stomach and potentially be a problem for me as well. I know this isn't a very coherent stream of consciousness, but I am feeling better. My head is getting clearer. I'm trying to make sure that I don't start a coughing fit right now. My lungs are getting better. My oxygenation is good, and my attitude is better, and my GI motility is improving as well. But having said all this, I know I've got a couple months before I can even think about being back to normal. This is a bear of an infection. Those of us that get it, that affect multi-systems like this, man, I feel sorry for everybody who's going to go through all of this. It's really a challenge. So if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them below. Again, I really appreciate all of your comments and well wishes. That's been fantastic. Thanks so much, folks, and have a great day. Bye-bye now.